It's exactly 4 minutes past 11 a.m. And in the background is VB, aka Vijana Barubaru with Efuishes Wahoses. And coming right up is producer Ajal, Red Sun, and Stoneboy with Sexy Mama, then More Fire by Abbas Kubaf. And once again, it's 5 minutes past 11 a.m. And good morning to you. It's the 16th day of May 2025, and you're tuned into Baze Radio. My name is Atieno. Of course, I'm your host every weekday morning from 8 a.m. up until 12 noon in the a.m. with Atieno. And today we have, I'm thrilled to sit down with two incredible talents from MTV Shuga Mashariki. And this is a really, really interesting and groundbreaking series. And I am glad now I'm of age because I can now watch it. It premiered on May 13th, 2025. And we have Julie, who's a rising star, whose powerful performance in the series has already earned her an acclaim, for lack of a better word, including a Best Actress Award at the African Smartphone Film Festival, and her ability to bring depth and authenticity to complex characters makes her a standout in this season ensemble cast. And joining her is a person that I follow and I bump into almost everywhere in Nairobi. His name is Enos Olik, and he's the visionary cinematographer behind the show's raw, vibrant aesthetic with an impressive portfolio, including Supermodel and Crime and Justice. Enos Olik has also crafted a visual language for MTV Shuga Mashariki that's as a dynamic and fearless as the story it tells. And in the next few minutes, we'll be delving deeper into that, who they are, what they did, how was MTV Shuga, and why did they do MTV Shuga. But before that, let's listen to Sexy Mama by producer Ajal, featuring Red Sun and Stoneboy, then More Fire by Abbas Kubaf. And it's exactly 6 minutes past 11 a.m. Na kama kawaida, do not touch the dial, keep it Baze Radio. In the background is Stoneboy, Red Sun, and producer Ajal with Sexy Mama. And coming right up is More Fire by Abbas Kubaf, then Zimeshika by Trio Mio, featuring Calligraph Jones. And it's exactly 10 minutes past 11 a.m. Only 1 minute so that you guys can go ahead and manifest 11:11 as people usually do. But before that, in the studio with me today, I'm not alone. I have Julie Brenda, who's an actress for MTV Shuga, which premiered on the 13th and the 14th. On the 13th on Citizen and the 14th on YouTube. Aside from that, we have the cinematographer. I follow him on Instagram almost everywhere, Enos Olik. Na tutaanza na wewe kiasi yake, right?
Yeah.
So how do you balance creating basically a visually stunning series with the tight production schedule and also the need to authentically capture Kenya Gen Z energy? I haven't watched it yet. I've just watched the trailer and I'm like, okay, we have a little bit of LGBTQIA in this. You know, and I'm like, this, I have to watch this. Because this is what we are pushing for. So I'd love to know, how do you balance creating a visually stunning series with a tight production schedule and also the need to authentically capture Kenya's Gen Z energy?
Okay, first of all, I'm just happy to be here. I'm a happy soul. For this is MTV Shuga.
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of those series that really shaped our upbringing. So of course, getting into something like Shuga, you have to do a lot of prep.
Yeah.
So we started prepping like almost 4 months before we even began shooting.
Okay.
So prep does most of that work, because now when you're going to shoot, you've already run through the script over and over and over again. You know each and every location, what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So when you get to your tight production schedule, it becomes easier, because now 80% you've prepped. Now 20% you leave for just on the ground, on the fly thinking and all that. And of course, times have changed. This is the new MTV Shuga. It's not the same one that we watched 10 years ago.
And you only watch. Me single. I was a child. I was 16.
Right? Me too.
Yeah.
I was a child. Gen Z mzee.
Talk to me.
Yeah, so Nairobi has changed. It looks different, but things have changed. Clubs have closed down. The events that we go to right now are a little bit different.
Yeah.
So for me, just to keep it grounded, I was just taking from my experience of what the places where I'm going, the places where we bump to. So I'm always just seeing what is happening there and just try to put that in the show. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Julie.
Yes.
As a Best Actress winner at the African Smartphone Film Festival, you basically bring depth into your roles, right? And I would love to know, what was the most challenging emotional or psychological aspect of your character in MTV Shuga Mashariki, and how did you basically prepare to portray those intense moments?
So just for the people who haven't watched it yet, so I play Asha Bahari. She is a Costarian, fierce, bold woman. And I felt for some time, or rather when I was reading the script, I felt like my personality and hers were very different. So trying to personalize her was a very big challenge for me. Trying to advocate for other people's rights, trying to speak up my mind, because I'm not that kind of person. I am very structured. So if I end up doing something very big like that, I have to plan every step of the way. But Asha does not. She is not a planner. Aya atafanya tu, alafu consequences zitakuwa tu later.
Okay.
So I think that was the most challenging part for me. And how I prepared was, I talked to some of my friends who are Costarians, because I needed to understand where this babe has come from, the culture that she grew up in, the languages, the food she grew up eating, the people she grew up interacting, how she carried herself. So those are the things that I did prior shooting. Yeah.
Okay. Now, when we come back, we're going to talk about challenging gender norms, and that's specifically for you because the show aims to challenge gender norms. So how did you use cinematography, lighting, framing, or color to basically amplify these themes?
Sounds technical.
And we'll talk about it in the next few minutes after listening to Baze with More Fire, then Calligraph Jones with Trio Mio. Wameimba zimeshika, because zimeshika hapa ndani kwa studio. And it's exactly 15 minutes past 11 a.m. And in the meantime, go watch MTV
Shuga Mashariki.
Exactly. On YouTube, just in case watu wana Citizen.
Yes.
You can check it out on YouTube.
Yeah.
Trio Mio featuring Calligraph Jones with Zimeshika. And coming right up is Dufla Dilegando Gia Meza. Then Kudonjo Kudonda by Zero Sufuri, Brida LW, Tipsy G, and Kushman. And it's exactly 23 minutes past 11 a.m. And on the 11th hour today, we have Julie Brenda and also Enos Olik. And before that short musical break, nataka tu kumuuliza swali fulani hapo inaka challenging but so since you're a cinematographer, right? What's the difference between a cinematographer and a videographer?
Okay, so there's a cinematographer, there's a videographer, and there's a director of photography, depending on what. So all of them involve this person shooting. Okay. A videographer, I would say, ni mtu ana shoot weddings. Mtu ana shoot funerals, just necessarily just shooting. Okay. Even if today you just take your camera and start shooting, you're already a videographer. Okay. When it comes to a cinematographer, or there's another a cameraman. So a cinematographer, my main work is to craft this look and feel of this show. So when you look at MTV Shuga Mashariki, you look at one particular shot or scene. Even without this person talking, you feel some type of way. You might feel sad, you might feel bright, you might feel happy. So my main work, how do I do that? I decide with the director, we ask ourselves, so what do you want the audience to feel when they're watching this particular scene? Then the director will be like, I want them to feel scared. It's a horror movie. So for me, I'll make decisions on lighting. Maybe I'll not make it, see like where we are, it's very bright. I'll be like, no, let's make it dim. So I'll be making those decisions. I'll be like talking to the wardrobe or the stylist and tell them, staki wavae nguo yote bright or colorful. We have that collaboration also with the guys who are doing art, production design. We want the wall not to be too bright and all that. So the cinematographer, that's your work. Okay. You collaborate with the whole team and you craft this visual style to create a mood. Yeah, to create a mood or a feeling to the audience.
No, I feel like you've already answered my question. I mean, my question was, so how did you use cinematography, i.e. like lighting, framing, or color to basically amplify themes, especially in really sensitive scenes like consent or mental health? And since ushajibu hiyo, can you share a specific scene where your visual choices made a very bold statement?
A lot.
Ama ni movie yote?
Ni movie yote. So let me give you an example. Kwanza umesema umewatch trailer.
Yeah.
So when you watch the trailer, there's this sequence of montage shot where these characters, they're in the club, na ni kama wanakuwa interrogated, being asked questions, and each one of them have like different colored light hitting their faces.
Yeah.
So one has like blue, another one yellow, green. So you're making very distinct choices.
Yeah.
My idea was to use complementary colors. Kama mulisoma hiyo primary school.
Probably not.
Primary colors, secondary colors.
No, yeah. I read something like that, yes.
So for example, if this particular person, there's a lot of blue light maybe hitting him, I would do, because we're having a very compelling story happening at that time, I'd do a contrasting color. So blue, the complementary color of blue is yellow. It's yellow or orange. Also green can go with red or yellow. There's another scene, there was some purple light hitting their faces, then the complementary color was almost towards the yellowish and all that. So you make those decisions because now it's you're also trying to depict visually that this character is going through something. There's a contrasting what do you call it, like contrasting curve or journey that you're going through.
Okay.
So you depict that. That's when you watch it, it's colorful, but you're feeling some type of way in terms of what these characters want to portray. So that's one of the way. Yeah. Okay,
when we come back, I want to talk to Julie because the show really dives into very, very heavy themes compared to the other MTV Shuga where a lot of things bado watu walikuwa wamechorea.
That's true.
Cancelled. So like in this one, we are tackling very heavy themes like sexual health. We also have peer pressure. We also have gender roles. We also have the rainbow community as well being depicted there. My dress, my choice. So was there a scene that felt particularly daunting for you to perform? And basically, how did you navigate the responsibility of portraying such real world issues for a very young audience?
I'm answering now, tunarudi.
Tunaweza rudi? So let's listen to Difla Diligan with Gia Meza as she thinks about that question. Imemchanganya kesi yake. And after that is Kudonjo Kudunda by Zero Sufuri, Brida LW, Tipsy G and Kushman. And 34 minutes past 11 a.m. and it's into Baze Radio. And that was Kudonjo Kudunda by Zero Sufuri, Brida LW, Tipsy G and Kushman. And coming right up is Wa by Diamond Platnumz, featuring a guy who has said music industry si wondoke adili sikuna dedi, that is Kofi Olomide. Then Drama Kobes by Maya Amolo. But before that, I had asked Julie Brenda a really, really interesting question, because when you watch MTV Shuga Mashariki, they are really, really depicting or showing us very heavy themes that back in the day, they were basically a taboo to speak about. That is sexual health, peer pressure, gender roles, the rainbow community as well. So I'd love to know, was there a scene that felt particularly daunting for you to perform? And how did you navigate the responsibility of basically portraying it to us and showing us real world issues for such a young audience?
Oh, okay. You know, the themes that the show are talking about, the things that didn't happen kwa ground.
Yeah.
And zilikuwa zina happen even back then. Ni vile back then guys didn't have the confidence or either the space to talk about them. And at least now we have the chance to talk about them.
Yeah.
I would love so much to come here and say this scene, this particular nini, but I can't because you're spoiler na sake kuharibia. But I'd say there are a couple of scenes that yes, I do felt very challenged, but I felt very honored to represent that specific community. Inaweza kuwa the LGBTQ or even sexual harassment or sexual awareness or even just being sexually positive or even sijui kama iko, but the stigma of HIV. But I felt very honored and proud to be talking about those spaces. And guys, watch MTV Shuga Mashariki. You will learn why I cannot talk about these things now. Acha kwanza the 8 episodes itoke, then uniite tuongelele.
Also after 8 episodes.
Yes, yeah.
Ukindanganya.
Yes.
Nakutrace. Unajua sasa tunaweza abduct watu. So chunga, angalia nyuma. So Enox, coming from projects like Supermodel, Crime and Justice, what personal experience or beliefs did you bring to MTV Shuga Mashariki that basically shaped its raw and relatable aesthetic?
Hey, questions are getting deep.
Right?
Yeah, but I come from a background of music. I've done numerous music videos. That's where I started. Even before I started doing the supermodels, crime and justice, and all that. Again, my approach is always very simple. What do I want the audience to feel? Nataka wafeel aje wakiwatch hii show. Of course, we borrowed a lot. We had a lot of references when you're trying to mold MTV Shuga Mashariki, and you're borrowing from these different shows, scenarios, things. We always just tulikuwa tuenda out just trying to see what is happening. We go on social media and all that. So part of it was that. The other part was also just from my experience. I've been in those scenarios. Kama if we're shooting in a classroom, we're shooting in a dorm, we're shooting outside. I've shot millions of other scenes like those ones. Yeah. But because these ones are talking about specific things, or we want our audience also, we are educating them and entertaining them at the same time. We're just curating based on that. But my approach is always been the same. What do you want the audience to feel? Okay. Yeah.
And was there a moment for you on set that hit you emotionally and changed your perspective as a filmmaker?
As a filmmaker, I think every day, because as much as I've done these numerous shows and films, the approach of this one was different because first of all, we're talking to a younger generation. So I was just seeing myself in their shoes, in the characters that these guys are playing. And for that, I was like, I also need to listen to these people. We had a program called the Talent Accelerator Program from MTV Shuga Mashariki. We're having these interns or guys who want to do what you're doing. So they are in each and every department. Okay. So for me, even before we tackle a scene, I'd talk to them and just get their perspective. So that sort of, and when I'm talking to them and just their thought process and being a Gen Z mzee, when you hear the perspective, you're like, okay, so I'd see myself. So it really changed how I approach things even going forward. Yeah.
So Julie, when we come back.
Yeah.
To opportunity.
Thank you very much.
So for many cast members, this is basically a breakout role.
Yeah.
And I believe this is your first major role.
Second.
Yeah. Okay. So how did you handle the pressure of performing in a series with the legacy of basically mad actresses like Lupita Nyong'o, especially knowing it's a platform that millions will watch with that perspective of najaribu kuikompare na MT Shuga back in the day na this one to see what the difference is. And did you ever doubt yourself during filming? That we can talk about it in the next few minutes, of course, after listening to Wa Platinum featuring Kofi Olomide, then Drama Commence by Maya Amolo. Enjoy. In the background is Maya Amolo with the drama of Baze. And coming right up as we wind up today's show is Matrax with Kumerera. And it's exactly 14 minutes to 12 noon. And you're tuned into Baze Radio. My name is Atieno. And of course, I'm your host every single weekday morning from 8 a.m. up until 12 noon. In the a.m. with Atieno is the name of the show. And before that short musical break, we were talking to Julie. And we wanted to know how basically did she handle the pressure of performing in a series with the legacy of launching stars like the one and only Lupita Nyong'o, especially knowing it's a platform that millions are going to watch. And did you ever doubt yourself while filming?
I feel like every actor just doubts themselves, especially when you're given like a character that is very heavy, especially a character that you haven't done before. And when it comes to the pressure, I honestly did not get as much pressure. I think it's because of the people I was surrounded with, the cast, the crew. Everyone was very hands-on. Everyone was ready to do their job. Walikuwa wanajua ni nini wamekuja kufanya. So me getting the pressure, no, because I knew everyone is here to deliver. Hata mimi nakuja kudeliver. Na hakuna mtu anakuja hapa kuangushana. Okay. So I am coming to do my 100% best. Na Wilson atafanya the same, Enos atafanya the same. So I did not get the pressure.
Okay. Yeah. Doubt ni normal.
Doubt ni normal tu kama msanii. Doubt tu ni normal.
Kwa kila mtu atasi msanii peke yake, trust me. So as we wind up, like every production has its own breaking point. We all know that. Like, so what was the hardest day for you on MT Shuga Mashariki, whether emotionally, technically, or even ethically, and how did you push through?
There are a couple. First of all, and this was for everyone, the night scenes. Okay. We were stretching, because your body has to get used to it. You are there. I'm just there on set. Now, not on a kunywa jaba juice.
Hand us.
Go wide open. Niko hapo just pushing. But you then remember what has brought you there. You're like, this is MTV Shuga. Expectations are high, so you really push. They were kind of stretching, but they were actually even more fun because tulikuwa tunaingia set tunasema ready to suffer today, and you push through. Also the intimacy scenes, not that they were challenging, but they were very, I'd say, technical, because we had an intimacy coach, coordinator, so you had to watch your steps, what you're doing, try and create a safe space for that. In the beginning, it was kind of hard because you're getting into it, but towards the end, we kind of gelled and figured out how to work around that. But all in all, it's MTV Shuga.
Oh, yeah.
So...
Okay. So I have a question for the both of you. Any of you can answer, right?
Okay.
So MTV Shuga Mashariki thrives on its authentic storytelling. We know that, right? So can one of you share a moment where your collaboration, cinematography and acting created a scene that felt particularly powerful? And were there any creative disagreements that led to a better outcome?
Oh, okay. Guy, I really don't want to give spoilers, but as you go along,
Peana tu nikiwatch nitashtuka.
Sasa shida si wewe peke yake unasikiza. But honestly, I feel like the highest peak when it comes to Asha was when she's fighting for other people's right. There's a scene even in the trailer, utapata there are riots and a lot of people in one scene. I felt like the setup really boosted the mood, especially towards the end, towards like when the askaris come and they smoke everywhere. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. There's even a shot whereby I land on my ass. School me, thank god, because we had at least a stunt person. But that was very beautiful to see when it comes to visual and even as a performer, because unajua umejitolea yako yote, so when you see it in 1,000% great, I think that was my moment.
Okay.
For me, I can say and this I worked with like most casts, having a very young cast and majority of female, so everybody will come and say, but I'd come and ask them like, what's your favorite side? Because everybody has a favorite side. Even the guys are like, his side beard yangu in Jamaica.
Focus na hii.
Yeah, so we have to collaborate. So on a checker, we have to collaborate where they would say, this is my best side. So even when you're doing the blocking and planning where they're standing, where they're saying the lines, I'd maybe take that in consideration, where I'm putting my light, where I'm putting my camera, and and towards the end, some of them like got it. So they'll be like, the light is here. They just come and stand there and smile. Yeah, so it's funny, but it's also part of those things that you collaborate with actors and make it worth the while.
So you've mentioned teaching young crew members during production, right?
Yeah.
Even letting them shoot B-rolls.
Yeah.
So what was the most unexpected lesson you learned from these young creatives, and how did it basically influence your approach to the show's visual identity?
I had this idea of using a lot of practical lights. Okay, so practical lights are like you see in your house when you want it to be moody. You'd switch off the main light. You have just your table lamp and all that. But in my head was like, I just need very nice and warm lighting just to put everywhere. Then they came and they're like, you're so old. Nowadays we have like colored LED lamps, the wall lights, the wall fairy lights and all that. So after that, I was like, oh, okay, makes sense. So we'd get to a room and I'd be like, would you guys use this old one or this one? They'll be like, both of these are old. They'll suggest something else. And I kind of learned from them a lot about that. Yeah.
That's quite interesting. Now, Julie, as we wind up.
Okay.
Now, MTV Shuga, this series is about truth, but every set has its unspoken tensions, for lack of a better word, either creative, cultural, or even personal. So what's one thing you wanted to say or during production, but held back, whether out of fear, respect, or politics?
Oh, is there anything that I really did not say? When we were shooting, I was in Asha's element. So kitu kinisumbua mimi nilikuwa tunasema. Like the 2 months that we were shooting, I was Asha. So I don't think there was anything that ilinisumbua that I could not say.
Okay.
I felt like everyone created that space for you. The production, the crew, like you could
We had a therapist actually.
Yeah, we also had a therapist. So akukuwa na like atukuwa tunagongana ile sana.
Yeah, kuna kugongana but ile extreme.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to end up with Enos, right? Now this series is known for shocking audiences. Like hata MTV Shuga ya kitambo tuko namba tusiwatch, watu wakifanya vitu zingine wanaangalia kando kama mtoi.
Yeah.
So this series is known for shocking audiences to spark change, but there's a line between impactful and exploitative.
Yeah.
Right? So was there a scene you both worked on that felt like it might cross that line, and how did you navigate the ethical tightrope of depicting raw issues without sensationalizing them?
Okay. So one thing that I think a lot of people need to realize is even before we started shooting, I think for over a year, there are guys from now the Staying Alive Foundation. They're on the ground just picking stories, doing research and all that. So when you're getting into the scripting process, even before we came on board, these were just issues that already happened, and they figured out a way with a wonderful team of writers just how to weave them through. So by the time you're getting into it, everything was being answered. So you get a scene here where you're like, ooh, hapa we're on the line.
Yeah.
Then on the later episode, you're like, ooh, it makes sense. It's answered. So that was kind of the feeling and there's a lot of them. There's a lot of those scenes, a lot of those particular stories that are just on the on the thin line apple, but most of them are answered afterwards because now we're just not imagining things as much as people may tend to think, oh, it's a fictional story and all that. Most of these are actual from real stories that are happening. So it never felt like we're just going straight into trying to just tell a story that is not there. So yeah, there are a lot. I think from episode 1 to episode 8, they just spread all over.
True.
Yeah.
Even there's a point where we were having a discussion and they were saying, let's say a character like Zena. So you'd see her in episode 1 and maybe even 8, but then when you shall watch 8, you're like, wait, this is why she did this. So you have to go back to 1 and now rewatch it and be like, okay, this is the mindset. So you have to rewatch it with that same storyline, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah. I think I'm a person who nikionanga movie ama series natakanga kuiradanisha in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Kama sina siku rada anything. Sana so labda ni wewe. Siku rada watu wale wananiambia wako rada unaenda kuiona mara mbili ndo akarada. So the fact that you're telling us probably Zena there's something she did in episode 1 tutarada in episode 8. That makes sense. So as we wind up, where can we watch MTV Shuga apart from YouTube?
Oh, you can watch it every Tuesday at Citizen 11 p.m. Now, if not, then the next day, Wednesday, 8 p.m. at YouTube and BET.
BET Africa.
Yes, BET Africa.
On Tuesdays.
Okay. So where can we get your handles? Your unajua yake ni Enos Olik.
No need to say.
Yako inajulikana.
So for me, you can get me on TikTok and Instagram as Julie Brenda or Sessions with B.
Okay. Enos Olik, sema tu yako.
Just for formalities.
Tunapata WhatsApp. Hakuna ndole WhatsApp. IG Enos Olik. I'm on TikTok just to watch what other people are doing. I really like memes. On X, naifunguanga once a year. Facebook, nitaka kuongea na my relatives.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just all through is Enos Olik. Okay. ENOSOLIK. Those are my real names.
Thank you so much for coming, Julie. Thank you so much for coming. Enos, it was nice to meet you aside from Bukla. It was nice to meet you for the first time.
It was nice meeting you. Thank you so much for having us.
Karibuni sana. Next time, probably ukiniambia nikutafute tena.
Imagine itafute.
Yeah, yes. Usispoil. Sawa. Just know there's someone who promised kitu. If not, a 26-year-old girl was found where? Anyway, coming right up is Match Tracks with Komerara. Then as we wind up, Yani with Furaha. Enjoy.
This is Baze Radio.
We are 254 to the core.